Good morning. Welcome to Growing Home Acres. We're back on the building project at the other end of the farm. And I'm going to go through a little bit of what I did the last day I was here. I only had a couple of hours. And then I'm going to go over some stuff that is getting done today, some framing. And then I want to talk about insulation because there's going to be a couple of different types of insulation used in this house. And they're key as far as moisture control, and ease. I guess ease is the way to put it. There's going to be some expense involved. Everything's expensive nowadays. Spraying insulation is a little bit more expensive than regular insulation, and we'll talk about why we want to do spray foam insulation. But let's get started. Okay, so in here, let me walk out the bathroom. So if I was going to walk out the bathroom door, you can see where the bathroom door is. This is Jack's bedroom door. And so we have the layout all taken care of. There was some question on the layout, and thank you to Maria, because she came over here. I was stumped, and she came over here and talked about where doors should be, and it was just something that I was missing, and that happens sometimes. I haven't cleaned up in here yet from putting the windows in. This will be one of the closets, Sarah or David's, I'm not sure. I guess it really doesn't matter. It's whatever they're comfortable with. Pardon me while I kick garbage out of the way. So there'll be a closet here, and then she wanted a gap in between the closets, and the reason this gap is here is there's going to be a dresser slid in. They have a dresser that fits right in here, and that's how they want this done. So like with any custom project, it's what you do. You do what the customer wants, right? So, and then there are other closets here. And then we got the windows in, of course. And I haven't done a tutorial on putting the windows in yet. It's pretty straightforward. They have nailing flanges on them, or in my case, screwing flanges. You silicone behind them, put them up, make sure they're level and square, put screws in. It's not difficult. Jack's closet, there's going to be, where this box of nails is, there's going to be a nook. So it'll be for laundry basket, shoes, his coats, whatever it is that Mom decides she wants him to put in here. She'll put shelves up. She can go all the way to the ceiling if she wants. Then his closet door is here. This opening is 61 inches by 82 and a half. The reason it's 61 is you allow a ½ inch for drywall on each side. The track and the door just go in and slide. The door slides back and forth. It's a pass-by door. So this is his closet. It's kind of overkill on the top with the header, the 2x4 header, but it's how I like to do things, and I try not to waver from that. I try not to cut corners. You don't technically have to put a header above a closet door like this. There's no structure, but everything is fastened in here tight. You can see how I'm on the layout. So the backing's in. There's drywall backing all the way up, all the way down. Drywall backing on this closet wall. There is some question on how we're going to frame up this end, the gabled end, because of that vent. That vent has to stay open so there can be airflow through this section here that's got the flat ceiling and the trusses. I have the backing in for the bathroom wall. So these are the walls that are going to be framed today. And I'll come back on here and do little sections of video to show you how I'm doing the framing on this, because like where the shower is going to go here, the bathtub and the shower, if she does a right side drain, so the drain's going to be over here, wherever this layout is, there can't be a 2x4 in the middle of the tub. If there is, you can't install the shower valve. So that has to be taken into account when I frame that. The layout will be off on that wall in that section for the shower head and the valve and all of that. As I come up the ceiling here, I'm going to block the ceiling. This opening in the truss is going to have blocks every 30 inches. It's just easier. It's if you do it consistent, if you always do it the same way every time, you'll get the same results every time. So even though we're going to do spray foam insulation in the ceiling for moisture control, I'm still going to do it like I would do a regular lay-in insulation, like a fiberglass insulation. What you would do is if you're doing a fiberglass insulation, you'd go every 30 inches. And that way, whoever's on the ground cutting pieces knows that you cut 30-inch pieces. If you're doing this ceiling section and you're doing this ceiling section, if the blocking is 30 inches, you know that's how big those pieces are. You just cut 10 pieces. You can go up there, zip them in. It's ease of installation. And it's less waste because you're not cutting pieces and then going, oh my gosh, I cut that piece too short because this was longer. I cut it, you know, whatever. I cut it too long and I got to cut a piece off. We talked a little bit about the fact that there's going to be spray foam insulation put in. The reason there's going to be spray foam insulation put in is because this is a metal roof. It's a metal roof. It's a shed built, technically a shed building. So shed buildings aren't normally climate controlled like this one's going to be. So with it being a shed building, there is no moisture barrier between the metal roof and the wood, that the plywood on the ceiling. So we're not worried about the moisture between the metal and the outside of the building. We're worried about moisture on the inside. What will happen is the inside of the building will be a different temperature than the outside, and it will create moisture between the wood and the metal, and it'll drip through and come in onto the drywall and on everything. So if you spray foam on the inside of the building, that takes away all of that possibility of moisture wicking through the plywood. It's a pretty common problem down here because we don't have hard winters like we had in northern Illinois. Care is not taken so much to put on tar paper or what's called ice and water shield. Now, the new roof on the new building is tar papered on the section in between the two buildings is tar papered and ice and water shielded. I'm not worried about that. Unfortunately, to fix the moisture wicking problem between the plywood and the metal, we'd have to take all of the metal off of these buildings, put plywood on, put all the metal back on. It's a massive amount of labor. It's dangerous. It damages things. Then when you take that metal off, if you put it back on in the same order, you're putting screws in the same holes and they're not holding. It's not cost effective, it's not labor effective, and it's not really a good possibility. So then the best thing to do is put spray foam insulation in, 3.5 inches thick. I don't know exactly what the R value is. And then drywall right over it. And then there is no possibility of any moisture on the inside. I know somebody else here in the same county who had an issue. They had a metal roof put on. It's how they put the metal roof on. It's the way it's always been done. They had water dripping through onto their drywall. So they had to have somebody come in and spray foam insulate on the inside. And that's what they did. So that's it. That's my starting update this morning. This is our Growing Home Acres building project, and I'm going to get moving on this, and I will show you as I go what it entails with putting up doorways and all of that stuff. All right, thank you. So I'm going to put this last board in here, and I'll show you what I've got going on this wall. I didn't get as far today as I wanted to get. Simply because I had to jack the building up. So I had to get underneath with a bottle jack, and I had to bring the building up 1.5 inches to get these floors level. And then I'll go around and I'll show you what I had to do to fix some things that changed because I had to jack the building up so far. So this doorway right here, this is the bedroom door. This doorway is 34 inches wide. So because it's 34 inches wide, the header that I'm putting in up here is 37 inches. And the reason it's 3 inches wider is pretty straightforward, pretty simple. This 2x4 is 1.5 inches wide. This 2x4 is 1.5 inches wide, gives us our 3 inches. So now we're at a 34-inch door. We're at a 34-inch door. I have checked it for plumb. I'm going to check it again and make sure it's square. Because there's nothing worse than building your doorway than going to install a pre-hung door, only to have it not fit. Because you didn't check to see if it was level and plumb. And then I get to play with my nail gun. So, this door was complete, roughed in. So we throw the 6-foot level on this side. It's perfectly plumb. Throw the 6-foot level on this side, perfectly plumb. Of course, you can't throw the 6-foot level on the top, can you? So, I gotta find my 2-foot level. And it's perfectly level. Vertical is plumb, horizontal is level. So, let me take the camera off the stand. I'll show you what I did today. We have another storm coming through. So, I'm starting to lose light. All right, here we go. So, I had to frame in this bathroom wall. And normally when I build walls, I lay them down on the ground, I lay them out, I build them, and I put them up. But because we have a ceiling that is vaulted, it was easier for me to just run it up one at a time, put in my top plate, and you can see all of the blocking because, see how I got it blocked there? The blocking laid out at 2 feet, and I laid it out at 2 feet because the side roof is 46 inches. So it was easier, it just laid out. And then I've got the bottom all nailed in. It's all 16 inches on center, as you can see. And here's the doorway. Now, I do have to put in what they call cripples above that header, a couple of pieces. I'll probably do that tonight before I finish. And then that'll be it. Now, what I was talking about jacking the building up, let's go over here. If you can see underneath, you see the 2x4 block on top of that cinder block. This building was setting on the cinder blocks. When I brought that up, it changed this doorway so bad that I had to take this door completely out and redo it. And you can see it's still, the framing is still a little bit crooked. The framing was not crooked before I jacked the building up 1.5 inches, and that throws the opening off. And that's something to remember when you're doing a building that's on a temporary foundation, like if you're doing a tiny house. Tiny houses are a completely different animal from a regular construction site. If I was doing a regular house, it would have been a concrete footing all the way around the perimeter of the house. We would have laid the bottom plate on foam insulation, and we would have started framing from there. Nothing would have changed. The issue is we're in a building that is right now, as of this moment, is a shed, technically. Though it's very large. It's on footings that are going to stay, and that's those concrete blocks on top of the 18-inch concrete that we poured for the blocks to sit on and stay solid. But it's going to get a permanent foundation around it, either block or framed wood, you know, and things change as you go, and we'll document all that. But anytime you have to change something in this type of construction, and it involves lifting one end of the building, it changes it. And that's what happened out here. So we lifted one end of the building. Lifted this end 1.5 inches. So it changes this floor. Now I compensated when I built this floor and had it angled down just slightly, but now it's angled up slightly because I had to come up more than I anticipated. It's part of construction. So as we go around the building, when we build the permanent foundations around this building, we're going to very slowly jack up each area that's low. So say we're coming into the bedroom here now. Now, I know that this building is level because this is where I've started working. So this is where I've got it level. I know that this building is off just a little bit. Now, it's off just a little bit sloping from where I'm standing to my left and down. And that is this building in here. So when we come in and start framing in this building, we'll throw the level on the floor and we'll look at the floor and we'll see where it's got to come up. It's probably going to have to come up behind this sliding glass door, which is just in here to be stored. But where I'm pointing down in the corner, that corner is probably going to have to come up just a little bit. It won't have to come up 1.5 inches. We knew as we were putting these buildings together, they were off a little bit, and we had to work our way around the buildings to make sure that they were level. So tomorrow morning's project, I almost said issue, tomorrow morning's project will be to finish this framing. And what I'll do is I'll, whatever I don't get done tonight with a little bit of blocking because I'm starting to lose light, whatever I don't get done with that blocking, I'll do. And then I'll start working on this front bathroom wall, which is right here. I don't know if you can see that. Here, let me see if I can flip this right. Okay, so I got to frame this in. This side's easy. This one here is just a stud and a cripple at 82.5 high. And in here, you've got your cripple at 82.5 and your stud, and in your corner. This wall is easy. It's going to go up, and it's actually going to be on the sloped part of the ceiling, but laid out. I'll just put blocks wherever it's got to be, and that'll be that. It'll be easy. Then this wall, I'll frame this wall the exact same as that wall on the other side, with the exception of this layout right here. The wall's laid out. The stud is supposed to go right here, but it can't. And the reason it can't go right there is because right there is where the valve, the water lines, and the shower head will come up for the tub. So I have to put in 2 studs there and move them apart. And I'll leave a foot or 16 inches in between. I gotta look up those numbers. I don't always remember the numbers as far as what has to go where on the framing. The closet walls, those will be easy too. I might actually be able to just build that wall and stand it up. And it's got doorways in it and headers and all of that. But they only go from there to there and from there to there. So that's an easy framing job. This doorway, as you can see, there's a little block there, and that gets a cripple and a stud, and in a little corner here, a cripple and a stud. Also easy. And you can see if I stand back here, where my ladder is, you can see that framed wall and the doorway. Framing's not rocket science. It's all numbers. It's all that stuff that we complained about in high school. Oh, I'm never going to use algebra. I'm never going to use fractions. I use fractions every day. I use algebra every day. I failed algebra, and this is what I do for a living. Well, it's what I did for a living before I started driving a truck again, and that was that. Now I'm retired. But it's not rocket science. It all lays out on the numbers, and as long as you stay on the numbers, it isn't a big deal. So, and that's it. So that's today's update from Growing Home Acres. If you like what we're doing here and you want to see more of this construction as we go along, next the electrician's going to come in and we're going to use a professional electrician. I'm not going to do this. And then it's going to be insulation, plumbing, drywall. If you want to see that stuff, come to Growing Home Acres on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. And I think the girls post stuff on Facebook also. But it really helps us out if you come and watch these videos on YouTube. And I'll try and show some of my mistakes, some of the things that I do, because every once in a while I'll do something and I'll go, how did that happen? But a lot of what's happening here is stuff that we have accounted for. The fact that we knew the buildings weren't exactly perfect. And once I started framing in here, I just jack it up and get it right, and everything works out perfect. The window's still open and closed. That's an important thing. The door open and closes now. And I knew as soon as I jacked the building up that door was out of kilter because I couldn't open it. I couldn't get the door open. Once I got it open, I had to take it out, fix my opening, put it back in. Easy peasy. Always, always, always install your doors with screws. You nail them in, taking them back out to fix something is really a difficult thing to do. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching Growing Home Acres. Like, share, subscribe. God bless. Have a great day.